The long wait for Euro 2020 is finally over. In the build up to the big kickoff, we are doing something special. We have scoured the Twitterverse to find a representative from each of the 24 nations competing in this summer's European Championships. We will be recording a preview with each representative who will be sharing views on their nation's hopes and expectations throughout the tournament, and most importantly, the fantasy assets we should be looking out for. Welcome to Euro 2020 Happy Hour. Hello and welcome to our Euro 2020 preview series with myself, Sham, otherwise known as FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup on Twitter.
And myself, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda.
Tonight, Rob, we've got another guest and they are representing a country that has a player that recently scored a perfect hat-trick. It is the Czech Republic and Matej. Matej, welcome.
Hello, guys. Thank you.
How are you doing?
Well, I think I'm fine currently. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Nice. Matej, talk to us about yourself. What football team do you support? Do you play FPL? A little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'll start with the teams I support. I support Sparta Prague in Czech Republic, and in England I follow Spurs. So my teams haven't really had successful seasons.
Yeah. Okay, and FPL though, you did quite well this year, right?
Oh, well, yeah, I did. I finished just above 50k, so a good year for me in FPL.
Nice. Okay, so yeah. Let's talk about the Czech Republic. How did you guys do in qualification?
Well, the qualifiers, they were full of ups and downs. The first match against England at Wembley, I was there and it was horrible. Absolutely nothing to enjoy.
I was there as well. we might have walked past each other at some point.
So you went to Wembley to watch the game from the Czech?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a
That's
mistake.
dedication for the cause. Mistake. Right, yeah, go on.
Yeah, so then we have 2 wins against Bulgaria and Montenegro at home. Yeah, then we went to Kosovo. There was another nightmare. Shocking performance there. But then the victories against Montenegro and famous victory against England at home. I was there too. A brilliant match. Zdeněk Ondrášek winner at like 18 minutes. Perfect experience. Yeah, then a win against Kosovo at home, and we finished with a loss against Bulgaria. But it was enough to qualify at the final tournament.
So obviously it's been quite some time since the qualifiers, and in between there's been kind of like Nations League and World Cup qualifiers and stuff. What kind of form Czech Republic coming into the Euros with?
Well, during the last national team matches or the last break for the national team matches, we played 3 matches. Against Belgium, we drew 1-1. Before that, as you say, we won against Estonia 5-2 with Souček perfect hat-trick.
Yeah, cool, you are.
And then there was a loss at Wales. It was not a good performance. So from these 3 matches, I'd say we're in quite a good form. Yeah. The draw against Belgium definitely showed that we're capable of competing against great teams, against strong teams. So, well, I'm looking forward to the final tournament because I think the Czech team is capable of causing some shocks there.
Nice. Okay, so talk to me about the strengths and weaknesses of this Czech side then.
Well, I start with goalkeepers. I think we have pretty strong goalkeepers. Although we won't have Ondřej Kolář from Slavia Prague at the final tournament because he's apparently injured. So we have 3 goalkeepers. we have Tomáš Vaclík and Jiří Pavlenka from Sevilla and Werder Bremen, respectively. Also, there is Aleš Mandos from Sigma Lemos, but I don't think he'll be near the starting 11. So it's between Vaclík and Pavlenka, and I think both are strong goalkeepers. And if I have to pick one, I'll go with Vaclík because he's more experienced. Then we have the defense. I think it's we have pretty strong right back and left back, but the center backs, I think there'll be a problem because we don't really have a strong partnership there. I think the two starting center backs will be young David Zima from Slavia Prague and Tomáš Kalas from Bristol, from the Championship. And if you can remember, he had a nightmare against England at Wembley. He scored a ridiculous own goal. So I don't think he's a perfect centre back, but he's one of the best we have. So
Okay.
he'll probably start. Then the midfield, I think, is the strongest part of the team. We have Tomáš Souček, we have Vladimír Darida, experienced Hertha Berlin centre midfielder, and then Alex Král, who again is connected. Who media says that he might be off to West Ham after the Euros. So, and then there are also Tomáš Holeš and Antonín Barák. Holeš is from Slavia, quite good. Barák is, I think, the most creative player in our squads. He will definitely be used by Jaroslav Šilhavý. Then we have the wings, which I think are quite problematic because Lukáš Provod, who was in good form, he's injured because he had some problem with meniscus, so he won't be able to play at the tournament. He's not in the squad. So we have Jakub Jankto, who is quite experienced but still young. He is our best wing. And then we have a group of wingers who are potentially we're going to fight for the place there, and it's between Adam Hložek, Lukáš Masopust, and I think Barák, who I mentioned already, is capable of playing from the wing too. So I think the friendly matches against Albania and Italy will decide who will start. And then we have forwards. We have Patrik Schick, who is definitely going to be starter. And there are players like Matej Vidra or Michal Krmenčík who are going to compete for minutes. So, yeah, that's our whole squad.
Okay, and where would you say you talked about the midfield and you said that's kind of where the main strength is. So where would you say the weaknesses of the side are? Would you say it's scoring goals, or would you say it's kind of the defense then? So where you said that centre-back pairing, you don't think is strong. I'm guessing that's kind of where you see yourself, that you'll probably score goals, but you'll probably concede them as well.
Yeah, it's definitely the centre-back situation. I don't think we'll concede a lot of goals, but I think individual errors from the centre-back might be a problem because the defense in overall, I think it won't be that bad. But yeah, the decisions of the centre-backs will be important, and if they keep making mistakes, then we'll definitely not going to make a great result there.
Okay, and out of the 11, out of all the players that you kind of just gone through, is there any players what players would you say are like the most important to that Czech side? Not necessarily from a fantasy point of view, because we'll talk about fantasy shortly, but just from an in real life football point of view, who's like really key to that side?
Okay, so I'll start with who else then? Tomáš Souček, scoring, passing, defending.
We don't know anything about him.
Yeah, he's
I think I can
team.
talk about him for a while now, Matej. That's right. Go on, carry on.
Yeah. So Tomáš Souček, I don't think I'll need to say anything more about him. He showed himself
Does he? What I'm interested to know is the way that he plays, because we've seen in international football a lot of players play in different positions from their club side, or not necessarily different positions, but kind of they play a different role in that side. Like for example, Wijnaldum doesn't really score a lot of goals for Liverpool when he does play, but for that Netherlands side, he tends to score a lot more generally. Even Alaba, kind of, he plays in a different role for his national side. Does Souček play in a different role for you guys, or is he still that kind of same player that he plays for West Ham?
I think he's pretty much the same player that plays for West Ham. Although he might be taking penalties at the Euro.
Spoiler
I
alert.
won't say he will, but he might. And he also likes to attack, so and the coach likes him, so he gives him the free space to do so.
Because he used to take penalties at Slavia Prague, I think.
Yeah, he used to. So if he feels well, then I think he might be on penalties. But yeah, not sure.
Okay, so outside of Souček, anyone else?
So another name would be Patrik Schick. He's a striker from Bayer Leverkusen.
He's your talisman that you've chosen,
he's my
right?
talisman.
Okay, so let's talk about a bit about Schick.
Yeah. So Patrik Schick, as I said, is a striker from Leverkusen. This season wasn't the best one for him. I think he scored like 9 goals. That's not really impressive, but he had problems with injuries and stuff, so he didn't really play all the matches, and he's quite injury proven too, so not really good for him. On the other hand, I think he's a complex forward. He works for the team. He can head the ball, and he has a brilliant technique. I think he's the most technically gifted player in the squad, so maybe that's why I chose him as my talisman. Yeah.
Okay. And who's on set pieces for you guys?
I think Jakub Jankto, the winger I talked about. He's gonna definitely take the corner kicks, free kicks too. I think Sufal, he's definitely gonna take some corner kicks and free kicks too. Also Antonín Barak, I mentioned, when he'll be on the pitch, he'll definitely be taking corner kicks and free kicks. And I think Vladimir Darida too is gonna take some.
Okay, and in terms of delivery, what's their delivery like? Because you have got someone like Souček there who can head the ball. Are there any other players in any of your like defense, your centre backs? Are they good at kind of scoring goals from set pieces?
Oh, well, we have Jakub Brabec in the squad. He scored a goal against England at home, but I don't think he'll play. So, yeah, he's not going to be dangerous from the bench. So then we have Jan Bořil from Slavia Prague, the left back. He'll be a starter. I think he can be dangerous from set pieces because he scored some goals at Slavia this season, not just from set pieces. I think
He gets a lot of yellow cards as well.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend him to a fantasy team, but we'll talk about it later. But with not really strong centre backs in air, I think he might be going forward. And then the centre backs, definitely David Zima. I think he'll be strong in the air.
Okay, so let's look at your group for the Euros. What's your kind of thoughts on the group and how you'll progress? Because see, I would say you've got quite a tough group there with obviously with England and Croatia and Scotland. How do you think you'll fare in the group, and where do you think you'll kind of come out?
So we're starting against Scotland, and we lost 2 matches in the Nations League against them. The first one, it wasn't really. We had a COVID problems, and we haven't had our strongest team. So yeah, we play with like a reserve team, so there wasn't really like a fair match. And then away Scotland, and there was we have problems with creativity, and when Scotland started to defend really well, we have problems and we didn't create enough chances. So I think it's not a ideal start for us. On the other hand, I think the Scotland might be the weakest team from the group. So yeah, then we have Croatia. We played against them at last Euros 2016. It was a 2-2 draw. We were 2-0 down, but then we came back. So we have a good memories, and I think Croatia is now past their best too. Their best players are turning like late 30s. Modric is 35, I think. Perisic is 33 or something. So the most important players they might be past their best. So I think again we can win definitely. And then the final match against England. Well, if we are in a good mood, if we are on form, then I think we can compete against them too. Maybe it's bold prediction, but I hope so.
You were talking earlier about creativity, and you struggled against Scotland. Does Czech Republic have those creative players?
Oh yeah,
Because I don't know many Czech players. I only know Soufal and Souček. But if I look at Souček, I don't see him as a creative player, right? So do you guys have a lot of creativity that you can break down these defensives?
Yeah, I think there's a problem with our midfield. It's not really creative. The only really like a creative midfielder there is Barak, and I don't think he'll be a starter. I might be wrong, but he's not in the starting 11. I predicted. We had Bořek Dočkal, the captain, but he's not in the squad. I understand it because he had some problems with form, and against stronger opponents, he's not really good. He's quite old and not really fast, so he has problems with a quick game. So yeah, there might be a problem. Creativity, definitely.
Okay, Rob. Before we move on to fantasy, have you got any questions for Matej?
I think it's just I think it's a very tricky group for the Czech Republic, and as we've seen more recently, with you getting the draw against Belgium back in March, who are one of the tournament favourites, and then beating was it Estonia 5 or 6-2, so showing that you can punish weaker teams as well, but then losing 1-0 against Wales. It kind of showed the other way, like you can be very, like, 1 minute very good, 1 minute very bad. I mean, it means that we maybe don't know what to expect from Czech Republic in that group stage. Like, they could potentially finish second in the group, or could potentially finish fourth. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. As I said, it really depends on the first match, because if we lose, then I think we're pretty much done, because then we'll have to win against Croatia and against England to finish like second, or the finishing third is pretty tricky because of the system of the tournament. So
you don't. I don't think anyone wants to target third place in
definitely.
the group. You always want to at least try and get second, because third place you could be waiting 2 days till you find out whether you're through or not. But yeah, I think Czech Republic are one of those sides that are just interesting. I think if they get through the group, and get into the knockouts, and like we've said it a couple of times before, where you might be looking for the budget kind of players to sort of just fill out your fantasy teams, and they could be a team that might be worth like just getting in someone like Thomas Souček, that if you're against one of the top sides later in the tournament, and you're having to rely on set pieces, like we've seen it with West Ham this season. Like he's been there and he's been on the spot when they've needed so many times. And if he did that for Czech Republic, it could be brilliant. Could be brilliant as a fantasy option.
Right, so let's move on to fantasy then. So I guess I've got three main questions for you. The first one that I'll ask with regards to fantasy is, are there any players in this side that you believe are out of position? So, we're always looking for that Wan-Bissaka, Lundstrom, Dallas of this year, Gem. Are there any players that are classed as defenders but actually play midfield or vice versa?
I don't think so. I think the only one who is like capable of playing elsewhere is Tomáš Holeš. He might start as a center back, but I doubt it. I don't think he will. And then also Adam Hložek. He's there as a forward, but I think he'll play from the wing. So there's the only two I see.
Okay, just on is it, you pronounce it Holez? Is that right?
It's Holeš.
Holeš. Okay, so he's owned by 16% of the game. He's a 4.5 midfielder. A lot of people seem to think that he's going to start. Do you think, is he a starter for you guys?
Oh, I don't think he'll start. At least against Scotland. Because we have, as I said, a strong centre midfield, and I don't think he'll could sneak in. He might get some minutes though, but I highly doubt he'll play more than 30 minutes.
Okay, that's really interesting to know then. And is he a defensive midfielder when he does play?
Yeah, he's a defensive midfielder. Or as I said, he can play as a centre back, but he played there just once against Arsenal away, Europa League quarterfinal, and he scored a goal. So it might be his position, but I don't think he'll play there.
Okay. Right, and are there any players here that you look at? I guess the other question before we look at individual players that you recommend, are there any players here that you look at and you think they just look really cheap and there's so much value in this player, getting on this player? Is there anyone like that you look at from a Czech point of view that you think the price is really wrong?
I don't see there like any bargain.
It's all kind of fairly priced, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe Adam Hložek at 5.5 million. If he starts, I think he will. Then he might be really good, but he hasn't experienced at the international level, so I don't know if he's capable of scoring goals or assists. So he might be a risk.
Okay, I guess then why don't you tell us who we should be looking at then from a fantasy option? So if you were kind of going to sell us some Czech players and you think they're really good value, are there any? And if so, who are they?
So the goalkeeper Jiří Pavlenka, he's on 4.5 million, and if he starts, again the friendly matches against Albania and Italy will show, then I think at 4.5 million he's a really good price. Then Vladimír Coufal, obviously, 5 million. He was on fire during the last game weeks of FPL. Premier League, he had like 5 assists.
From when I sold him.
Yeah, so he might be a good choice. Then the midfielder Tomáš Souček, obviously, might be on penalties and score a lot of headers this season for West Ham and even with foot. So
do you think he's worth it at 6.5 million though?
Well, I think it's a fair price, but it may pay off. Okay, definitely.
I think with Souček, it's one of those, like with FPL, like his price at the start. What was he? Yeah. Was he 5 million?
5 million. 5 million.
Start of the season. So it was. I think he was one of those that, yeah, you gambled on him because, he was a CDM, but his aerial presence, and you knew that he'd break into the box late, and make those late runs, and then. When Antonio got injured, he was playing almost like a false 9, wasn't he? Some points, and I mean, it'd be interesting, like in the game against Scotland, if you went 1-0 down and there's 20 minutes to go, would like you start to push Souček further forward and try and add to that aerial threat late on. Do you think they'd do that, or would he just be kept more conservative?
I think it's definitely a possibility. If we're 1-0 down, or even if the game is when it's like 1-1 or we have goals, then I think it's possible he'll push forward and play in the box and win a few headers and might score a goal too. So
I think it's always
possible.
It's always, even if he doesn't score himself, he could be involved, and like the ball comes in, he nods it down to Schick or Vidra or like whoever's there, and he picks up the assist, as well as like just being a general nuisance, like because they'll be because of how he is, and we see it in the Premier League, like. And I think it tends to be worse at international level. Players will be grabbing shirts and stuff, but we know that with VAR they don't get away with it anymore. And it's whether, because some of these players won't have played in VAR before, and it won't be in their head at the international tournaments. And maybe if he is causing a nuisance, because we know that I think no matter what, the player that wins a penalty gets 2 points. So it doesn't go down as an assist. It's 2 points no matter what, which is good. But it's just something interesting if he does push up, if you're chasing a result, especially in that first game against Scotland when you'd almost expect a result maybe.
So just to confirm, so I know this isn't Czech Republic related, Rob, but if the person wins a penalty and then scores, do they get both?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't believe so. We'll double check it. We'll cover it. We'll cover that in that. We'll cover that in the summary pod at the end.
Yeah. Okay, so you said Souček. Anyone else, Matej?
Oh, well, as I said, Adam Hložek, he might be a risky move, but it may pay off.
What kind of player is he? Is he an explosive player? Is he?
He's really fast. He's a fast player. He plays as a forward at Sparta now, but I reckon he might be a starting winger for the Czech side, and well, I don't know. He might definitely score a goal or assist. So I think for the price, he might be a good choice.
And then what about Patrick Schick? Do you think he's a good punt at 8 million? Does he score a lot of goals for that Czech side, or do you think that's too much?
He's definitely not like a target man or a poacher to just kick balls at and he'll score goals. But I think he may collect some assists or goals, but I don't think he'll be a top striker of the tournament, definitely.
Okay, and apart from Adam Hložek, is there any other strikers there that are worth it?
Oh, I don't think so.
Do you play with one up top?
Yeah, we play with one up top, and it'll be Schick, definitely.
Because you've got a 7 million striker there, haven't you?
Kremenčík? Yeah, Kremenčík, and there's also Peghard at 7.5. But
why are they so expensive? Like, if they don't start?
Yeah, I think they looked at their international goals, and Kremenčík used to be number one during his when Patrick Schick was like injured or not ready yet. He scored some goals, and I think that they'll come for the last 20 minutes. If we need a win or score a goal, then they'll come on, but I don't think they'll play many minutes.
Okay, so in that midfield, then you think there's only really worth looking at Souček, Jankto at 6 million, or Derrida is not worth it?
Jankto for 6 million is, I'd consider him personally, but I don't think he'll score a goal.
Does he start?
Personally, yeah, he's a starter, but he's not really that productive. You can see 33 appearances, 4 goals.
Okay.
Souček has the same number of appearances and he scored 7 goals. Of course, Jankto might score, he might assist. As I said, he's a corner kick taker.
Yeah, I was going to ask you where do the assists in that side usually come from?
It's usually from either Šik, Jankto, Barak, Král, or Souček. Yeah.
Okay.
Or Soufal and Božil can get some.
Okay. Rob, have you got any questions for Matej?
Not really. Sort of. I mean, I think it's tricky with how the players are priced in the Czech side. I think the performances in the World Cup qualifiers, and then the fact that they beat England in the Euro qualifiers, I think that meant that like their pricing is slightly higher in some cases. Maybe some of the players maybe like 0.5 too much. I think Souček might be one that I mean we know and we trust from this side, and at 6.5 I think it's a nice nice cheaper player that we know he's gonna play 90, and for that first match day, if you're not winning, it's quite likely he'll get pushed forward a bit more. And I just find it hard, like with Patrick Schick at 8 million, like you can buy, you can get Pookie for 0.5 less, or you could just scrap your forward altogether and put more money into your midfield. I think at that 8 million price mark, I think I'd be wanting a little bit more than what he could offer. I mean, would you agree, Matej? Would you maybe think that he might be a bit too much?
Yeah, I think it's too much. I think he's a bit overpriced.
Yeah, it's just.
You mentioned. Sorry, go on, Rob.
And it's the same with Soufal. I think at 5 million, I think with the potential of, like you've mentioned about the struggles in the centre backs, and there's lots of defensive errors, and we saw that when they played England in the qualifiers firsthand, and maybe Soufal might be a bit overpriced as well, because you're not getting. It's very unlikely you're going to be getting sort of double-digit returns from him, because he's getting an assist and a clean sheet. I think your only returns from him are going to be assists, and I think if I was going for that from a defender, I'd maybe be looking for someone like that plays for one of the bigger teams as a fullback. Like, because we've seen other 5 million fullbacks out there that play for some of the more favourable teams in the tournament. I think now I'm just very wary of that price as well, and I think with him it's maybe his form for West Ham in this, like especially in the second half of the season, like as they were finalising the prices, they might have just gone, oh, we put him down for 4.5. Let's stick him up 0.5 because he's been brilliant for the last few weeks. And
yeah, probably
maybe that's the case.
You mentioned earlier that Souček might be on penalties. Do you guys have a designated penalty taker, or is there anyone else that could be on penalties, or is it kind of you're not sure?
Well, it's quite complicated. I made a research, but I think the number one taker is Darida, the captain, at 7.5 million. Then it's Šik, and then it's Souček. I think it's between those three, and again, it will depend on who'll be on a pitch, who will feel well. But I'd say
who's been taking the last few for you, or has it been mixed?
It's been mixed. I think the last one was taken by Darida, if I'm correct, against Montenegro last year. I'm not sure, but I think it was.
Okay. Are you going to be picking anyone from the Czech Republic side, and if so, who?
Or I'm considering Soufal and Souček, but yeah, as you said, it's tricky. We might get a clean sheet against Scotland, but also we can concede 2 or 3 goals, and
Yeah,
with the assist prediction, I think that's tricky too. So and Souček for 6.5, I think they are better players, but on the other hand, you cannot ignore the fact that he's scored a lot of goals this year, and I'll definitely consider him.
Okay, before we go, Matej, is there anything else that you think we should know about this Czech side, either from a general footballing point of view or from a fantasy point of view?
Well, I think everything was said. So.
Perfect. Okay, Rob, any last minute questions or anything else to add?
How far do you think you're going to get, honestly? Like, what's your expectation?
Well, if we progress through the knockout stages, then I think we can also make semi-finals. But yeah, it's a bold prediction. But I think quarterfinal would be seen as a success, as a big success.
So the Czech Republic, so Turkey are a side that I think are kind of my dark horse, but I'd like Czech Republic to do well because of Souček and Soufal, and potentially Král, who might be joining West Ham as well. So it's pretty much like Czech West Ham United, right?
Rolling back the years, it'll be like 1996 all over again when Czech Republic were the runners-up.
Yeah,
I think that was I think for everyone.
Poborský?
Yeah, it was Karel Poborský was in that team. He scored a chip that got him signed by Man United. The goal of the tournament when he chipped Schmeichel, and then Alex Ferguson signed him that summer, and then he was a flop at United. But yeah, I mean, over the years we've seen great teams from the Czech Republic, and I think over the last maybe 10 years, they've struggled a bit more. I mean, we had you had a great team up until maybe 2012, 2010. There was a good team there, and I think it's been a bit of a struggle. But then with these new players that have sort of come to the fore in the last 2 or 3 years for you, it's maybe a little bit more exciting for the Czech Republic, especially going into this tournament with a group like, I think, England are England. Like they might not turn up when we get to the group stage. Croatia, as we said earlier, I think they peaked at the World Cup 3 years ago, and Scotland are Scotland. And yeah, you could shock some people and get yourselves into the knockout rounds. And knockout football's knockout football, isn't it? You keep it tight at 0-0, and Soufal crosses to Souček in the 89th minute and he nods it home. Then you're through to the next round, and it's easy as that. So yeah, I like the fact that you've been bold and gone semi-finals.
Yeah, it's really just a bold prediction. I'm not saying we will. We can also finish like last in the group with 0 points.
Matej, thank you so much for your insight and joining us on the pod. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers will as well. So thanks a lot for joining us. Yeah. To the listeners and the viewers, thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and our podcast, and look out for our next installment. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.